my M35, wife, F28, only wants sex to get pregnant. I don't want kids. To set the scene, my wife and I have been married for 2 years, together for 5 prior to that. I had been in a number of relationships where the question of having children had been approached. My stance on this has always been that I'm not bothered, don't mind if I do or don't, but having never found the right person and always playing safe, it hadn't happened. When I hit 30, I finally found what I wanted to do in life, and my career excelled quite quickly. My wife, for reference, is not career driven and wants to be a stay-at-home mum. 5 years have now passed and my career is going really well. I work long hours and am rewarded as such to provide a life for my wife and I. We have been very careful in terms of birth control and decided as a couple to come off of it and see it. We could start a family after all. I had decided to get married, so I must be pretty serious, so why not give her what she wants? I'd already had a conversation with her that, because of my work, if we did have a baby, that I wouldn't be there for breakfast with her and the baby, and I wouldn't be back at tea time, because that's how my work goes. However, that would be the trade-off. She wouldn't have to work and could raise the kids, and I would be there when I was able to. 18 months after coming off birth control, it still hasn't happened. Month after month of disappointment initially, where now it's an expectation. We both had tests to see if there were any problems and they came back clear, although she still has a couple to do. We even discussed adoption previously, but I know that's not what she wants to do because it doesn't give the full experience. I can categorically say that at 35, I did not imagine finding myself in the position now of being sex-starved and only doing it once a month when the ovulation machine beeps and tells her it's a peak day. Nothing like being put on the spot. We have become robotic, and I know what I'm there for. Trying to have children has somewhat begun to ruin our marriage, as I know she feels deeply depressed about the fact that she can't do it, and as my results were all good, she assumes it's her fault rather than ours and is always down about it. If friends bring their kids by or a school friend of her announces a baby on Insta, she's bitter about it and comments how it's so ducking unfair. She said it makes her feel suicidal, yet won't speak to anyone about it. This came out while drunk and when bringing it up, since she says it's not that serious. With all of this said, I feel that I couldn't be any less interested in having children. The idea of it is a turn off to me now after all that has happened. Our sex life has vanished. Thought that happened after having kids, not before, and I really don't know what to do. The failure to have children has killed off our marriage. For me at least. I can be honest on Reddit, right, and likely for her, whether she admits it or not. I haven't told her that I feel done with things, but that's where I'm at. I don't want children anymore. Completely turned off the idea. I want to walk away from it all. Focus on my career, have a fairly carefree life and have fun. We don't have mortgage, no kids. In case you just joined the party, and no joint bank account, what do I do? Your thoughts? You can't carpool with someone going in a different direction. I'm going to use this saying for the rest of my life. Firstly, you're supposed to have a bunch of sex at the time around ovulation to get pregnant, not just once on ovulation day. And secondly, if you don't want kids anymore, tell her and get a divorce so she can find someone else who does want kids. We tried that multiple times. It didn't work. Every day, every other day, etc. Still nothing. Then tried to pinpoint the exact day with ovulation machine. Still no. I think the writing is on the wall, isn't it? Thanks for your comment. I would at least try couples counseling before calling it quits. It sounds like your disinterest is stemming mostly from how frustrating and disappointing the process has been. And it doesn't sound like either of you has communicated about how you feel about your marriage right now, since everything has been focused on conception. It seems hasty to me to leave without actually discussing what's going on. Your wife is going through a very hard mental health challenge. She needs therapy to help her through it. You could use therapy too. Not wanting kids is never something that you should compromise on. CR/child free. If you have a kid you don't really want, that punishes you, your kid, and your wife. Are the good old crazy baby fever depression hormones mix? Couples therapy. And she needs individual therapy for sure. This requires a long sit down conversation. It can be hella sad to keep getting negative pregnancy tests, but dwelling on it isn't gonna make things any better. Some people take a very long time to conceive, even when nothing is physically wrong with either partner and stress is just a killer. Also yikes on the sex situation, but that isn't cool on her part. It's not fair to just want you around, to do the deed for her wishes, and then leave you high and dry when you'd like to have it. Best of luck to you both. Really think about whether you want to stay in this relationship and the work required to make it work. Having kids is a huge decision. Make sure you're ready. Tell her what you told us here, and if she doesn't like it, she goes sign the papers to get out. Dead bedrooms are deal breakers in marriage. Can't only want to have sex to breed. I wondered if that was maybe just me being a male, but I don't. Simple as that. No, it's not a male thing. Dead bedrooms are a problem for both genders. C/R/dead bedrooms. And even if it were a male thing, then it still would remain a problem. If you really don't want kids, you need to be honest with her immediately. Couples divorce over having children all the time. If your gripe is that she's focused all sex just on having kids and you want intimacy back the rest of the month, tell her that. Stress can be a factor in low fertility. Best case, you talk to her about taking a break from trying for children, as her mental health clearly will not be able to handle being pregnant when she's already so upset. Things settle down a bit. Your relationship improves. BC, you do the basic thing of communicating with your partner and see how things are from there. Fun fact, we got pregnant with our second child a couple months after we stopped trying. They told me I couldn't have kids. BC, I stopped producing eggs. With our first child I only produced one viable egg. After a year of fertility treatments, the doctor told me that this does happen with some frequency, that once people decide they're done trying, the body relaxes and things happen that they can't explain medically yet. Happened to me. Had a super stressful job and was going all the right things. Quit the shitty job. Let loose. Enjoying life, some drinking and all that, on I. Pregnant. Obviously I don't suggest drinking as such. You need to stop trying to have kids. For your wife's sake. She should not have kids with someone who shows such little interest in being a parent. Be honest with her and let her find someone who genuinely wants to have kids with her. Talk with her. Let her know that the last 5 years has shown you that you really don't want kids, and that you definitely don't want a bedroom where sex is scheduled only for procreation. So it seems the two of you really are no longer compatible in what you want for your futures, and divorce is probably your best option. Definitely do not have sex with her again. Fate likes to laugh at people and would find getting pregnant, now that you've realized you don't want kids, is a trick fate seems to enjoy playing. If you think it's possible that your decision about kids come from the stressing period and there is still space to change idea, the best idea would probably be going to do family therapy to improve your life as couple before thinking about adding the +1. Your relationship could benefit, your intimacy too. Your wife would maybe feel she's worth besides being able to conceive. If you are sure you don't want any children and that the relationship isn't salvageable, the best thing for both of you is discussing about divorce. And try any way to speak to her about getting professional help for her depression. Because that's not the best way to face up the emotional and hormonal upheavals of pregnancy. Best luck to both of you anyway. I hope things will get better. Please do not have children that you don't want. Do not have children just because the other person wants them, and you might as well. It is a horrible situation for you both to be in, and a special hell for a child to grow up in. I can speak to this as a product of this exact situation. An imbalanced family dynamic where one parent doesn't want you can be very damaging to a child, and children are very much aware of the lack of a parent's love and attention, regardless of how much the other parent loves them. It sounds as though you are both headed in different directions entirely. You need to have a frank, open, and honest conversation about what is going on. The conversation will probably go in the direction of divorce. So brace yourself. But it is what it is. It's better than living a life you don't want and never wanted in the first place. You both do not seem to be doing well, and a relationship with a dead bedroom is no way to live. A child will not make this marriage better. You both deserve to be with partners that have similar priorities in life. Please talk to her and set yourselves free from this shit. Please don't bring an innocent child into this situation and punish them too. First of all, you dramatically decreasing chances of getting pregnant if you only have sex on the peak days. You should do the whole week before the peak day and a few days after. However, if you don't want kids, why should you have any? To give them zero of love. You two don't even give any love to each other anymore. Having sex to only get pregnant is ridiculous. Why is that? Does she not want it? Or what happened there? Do you think if she does get pregnant it will fix it all or ruin even more? Do you love her? Are you still excited about seeing her every morning? And most importantly is the fact that you are not as excited about the result of all the stress, but has nothing to do with your true feelings. I would suggest forget about children. Have sex every day. Enjoy your life. Then she gets pregnant and it won't be as horrible cause you two will be actually happy. But would she agree to that? And would that make you happy again? You're not compatible. Divorce. I feel very sad for your wife. Even if she got pregnant now, she would be stuck with a partner who, by and large, deceived her about having children. You cannot be this apathetic and be a great father to your kids. It is too much of a time commitment for that. In all likelihood, your career will remain your priority and your kids will grow up with one parent who really cares and one parent who just does the minimum. End things. Pay her whatever alimony is due and then feel free to focus on what you love, your job. Your wife is expressing depression, suicidal thoughts. Those kill sex drives. She's battling a very deep pain of feeling like she's failing as a woman because she can't conceive quickly. This is a big primal pain because when you want kids, we are socialized to think pregnancy is easy to achieve. It's not. And as women, especially since you've said that her dream is to be a stay-at-home mom, we are taught that our worth in society is deeply linked to our ability to produce children. Your wife is not okay right now. So yeah, I don't think she's getting randomly horny or wants to have sex with you as regularly as before this pain started. Everyone above has yet to comment on how much pain your wife is in, and you need to address this. I'm appalled by people being upset with your wife because she doesn't want to have sex for fun right now. If you don't want kids anymore, you both need to have a talk with a therapist. She clearly, deeply, to her core, wants to be a mom. She needs to be with someone who can support that, even if becoming a mom will come to her in another way if conceiving proves difficult. But, as a husband and partner to an obviously hurting woman, where is your compassion? Addressing the feeling like she's taking away sex, so it's just to reproduce right now. I have PTSD from domestic violence. I was sexually assaulted by my partner because I was constantly pressured into having sex through guilt trips. Now, 10 years later, that trauma has manifested itself into my relationship. I can't have sex anymore. I'm triggered every time. In the past I had sex. My partner and I had a great sex life. Even made a baby. But now I can't. I have gone to therapy. We are working together on helping me relearn that sex isn't a traumatic event, but yeah. Fellas, we haven't had sex in 2 months now. My partner is surviving just fine because he understands. He's seen me crumble from the flashbacks. Trust me, I think about it every single day. But I will not cause myself more trauma to satisfy my husband's sexual needs when there is a plethora of porn out there. Intimacy is more than sex. We need to talk about that too. Most long-term couple will experience changes in sex drives. Life happens. We need to learn that intimacy is more than just sex. It's cuddling. It's hand-holding. It's making out, etc. So you and your wife need to have a big talk. But you should take a moment and really put yourself in her shoes right now. It sounds like from your post you don't want to be in the marriage anymore. Why else would you list that you don't have joint bank accounts or a mortgage? I personally think you should insist on couples counseling if you want to stay together. You can let your wife know your marriage is suffering and you need it. It took my mother 5 years to conceive my brother, and another 5 for me. She was eventually told to go on holiday and have fun. Have sex to have sex. Stop thinking and stressing about it. It worked. That said, you sound done with the relationship, and it isn't fair on your wife to carry on with this. It's possible she's as done as you are and is just using you as convenient sperm. Are you okay with that? Can you get her pregnant and just walk away? I'm asking this because breaking up a relationship can take a long time. What if she falls pregnant during the breakup? You know what you want. So talk to your wife and set the ball rolling. And decide what you want to do in regards to her possibly catching pregnant during all this. The drive for children in some people is incredibly strong. Be prepared for her to fight for that, even if she won't fight for you. Good luck op. I hope you have strongly reassured her that her value as a human being does not come from her ability to get pregnant. It sounds like she needs that. Also, I'm an idiot when it comes to the science behind this. But instead of waiting for the perfect days to have sex, wouldn't your chances of getting pregnant be higher and less stressful if you just had sex a lot and didn't worry about the timing? Assuming you both be okay with that idea. The pressure and stress of wanting to be pregnant is going to drive her insane. Clearly it's already began. She needs to see a therapist and or find a hobby. You need to sit her down and explain to her how you feel about your sex life and the fact that her actions are beginning to irk you. If you're frightened to upset her by having a serious conversation with her, then you should go to couples therapy. Both people have to be on the same page about having kids. This is one of the easy wins. Nobody wins trying to compromise with innocent people's lives. Before you make any major decisions, know that this may be a temporary loss of motivation and desire to be a parent, as well as satisfaction with your partner, that many couples experience when they've seriously been struggling to conceive. Trying for a baby to no avail is stressful and takes a toll on every aspect of the relationship, but many couples do overcome these challenges and come out stronger because of it. I suggest you connect to groups of other couples trying to conceive and at least seek counseling or mediation as a couple for further insight. In the end, you might realize you two have different life goals, which is an incompatibility that cannot be compromised. And you would both be doing each other a favor by parting ways, but it might be worth giving one final shot too. I don't understand how this wasn't discussed properly and thoroughly before marriage. It's kind of a big deal. Having said that, I hope you and your wife can find happiness. Alpha may be that happiness won't be found together. She could have tests to see if she has a problem. She could have IVF, adoption, surrogacy. You've stated multiple times throughout your post that you don't want children. So then why the flip are you trying? Didn't you discuss this before you got married? Like, dates 1, 2, 3 would have been a great time to have that talk. Regardless, if you still don't want them, then you need to communicate this to her. And there's no sense in continuing this marriage that wasn't honest to begin with. There's no compromise open in the discussion for having children, unless you're talking about the number of children. Sounds like you will really dislike it. TL. Doctor, get a divorce. Cut your losses and find someone who actually wants the same things as you. Also, get a vasectomy. You say that trying to conceive has begun to ruin your marriage first, and then straight up say it's killed it off later. Which is it? Do you love your wife still? Do you care about her feelings and what she is going through? I'm hearing a lot of I love my job. I want to be carefree and have fun. I want sex. And not a lot of my wife is having a very hard time. Is seriously depressed. And I want to help make things better for her. The tone of this post says a lot about your lack of empathy / possible selfishness when it comes to your life and your marriage. And it concerns me that you married her in the first place if you were so focused on you. Marriage is a serious commitment. Why did you marry her? Was it just for the sex? Or was it because you felt deeply connected to this woman, wanted her in your life, and knew you would do whatever you could to support and encourage her? If it's the later, did you not expect things to ever get difficult? If you want a divorce, then get one. But my advice would be to not remarry. If you're not willing to work and compromise and care in a relationship, and you're going to bail when things stop going your way, you shouldn't be in one. If she desperately wants to be a stay-at-home mom, and you were always about kids, why did you even date her? Did you express early on how blessed you were about having kids? Children deserve love and time and encouragement from both parents. This seems like a crazy life goal disparity to have between life partners. Also, if being a mom is her lifelong dream, then her depression only makes more sense. You need to talk to your partner about how you're feeling and how she is feeling. and come up with a plan for yourselves. Your wife needs therapy, 100%, and her husband's understanding and support. You should also seek couples therapy to repair the damage that has been done. Sex is a privilege, not a right. In a relationship, it isn't owed to either party. It's something you should both want and enjoy if you both feel it is right. If your wife is suicidally depressed, I'm not surprised that her sex drive is in the toilet, and she is in no way obligated to have sex when she doesn't want to. If you want her sex drive to come back, I again recommend therapy and counseling to work on her depression and rebuild the security/intimacy of your relationship. Don't have kids. It isn't a give her what she wants situation. No matter how much you think it's going to work perfectly with her as a SAHM and you the provider, you're still going to be expected to be hands-on with the kids, and truthfully that doesn't really sound like what you expecting from this. It's really ducking hard, and when she starts feeling resentful because you're not there, which you were 100% upfront about, it's going to just drive a wedge between you. You've already checked out at that point and you don't even have kids. Just cut the cord and allow her to find that with someone else. Consider yourself lucky that it's ending without having to worry about child support and custody arrangements. Depression causes a serious drop in sex drive, and the fact that she's admitted to you that this is causing her to be suicidal is a huge cause for concern. But you've already checked out from this marriage and don't care. You can't be there to support her mentally, you're just angry that you're not getting sex as often as you want anymore. When a wife admits to her husband she's suicidal, the husband should be concerned and desperately be trying to get her help, not going on Reddit and bitching about the lack of sex and how you just want a divorce because, apparently, all marriage was sex. It's unfair to both of you to keep trying. You need to get her in therapy ASAP. I think the only outcome here is divorce. Were things good before this? It seems like you decided to divorce really quickly. Do you not want children? You don't seem that committed to this relationship, so for God's sake don't get her pregnant. Just when you decide to leave is when she'll get pregnant. Guaranteed. You are describing my uncle and aunt's situation 18 years ago. They stopped having fun and was only mechanical relationship to try and have a child that she wanted to have. She became depressed and every month cried and blamed herself for not being able to have children once again. So she acted as my and my brother mother when she asked to look after us. It was weird for us as once we heard her calling us her own children. Of course we told this to our parents and they felt sorry for her. Long story short, a few years into them trying and their relationship becoming to fail, she became resenting my uncle and my uncle would overspend in useless stuff just to fill the void. Everyone was feeling sorry and at some stage avoiding them because she would no longer hide the fact she not only resented my uncle and the fact they haven't got pregnant, but she became having an ugly manner towards anyone who had children, regardless of their age. At this point their marriage was truly ended, but her obsession of becoming pregnant, she started to manipulate him into staying into the marriage. They were childless for 18 years. When they finally announced the pregnancy, we were overjoyed that they finally managed and they would be back to be the loving, caring couple before all the stress. After all the therapy they overcame during all through the process as well. But they didn't. The child was 6 months and they divorced. Why? Because my uncle was working, so she could stay at home, and she became accusing him of cheating when he was working. She would call and harass all of my family and hers to know if they knew where he was, if he had plans with anyone, and would throw tantrums if he was working over the weekend for the extra income. My cousin is now 9 and only seen his parents fight. What truly breaks my heart. My uncle was heartbroken to see her shattered, but she became someone else altogether. Until this day she resents everyone who has children, and my uncle, he had all tests done and he was able to have children. However, she had an underlying issue that caused her difficulties in having a baby. She doesn't see her own son anymore either because she started resenting the poor kid after her sister and nieces became pregnant in almost no time after starting trying. My advice: sit her down, have a heart to heart about your concerns. Stop trying and focus on your relationship only. If you can seek help individually and as a couple, once you are okay and in a healthy relationship again, you will be wise to know if it's time to try again. I just hope that both of you don't end up like my uncle and auntie. You need to have a calm conversation with her and honestly tell her how you are feeling and that the time has come to go your separate ways to find partners that want the same thing in life. You two obviously don't. This can be super frustrating as you have become focused on the end goal and lost sight of the game. Tell her it's time to take a break from the baby making and fall in love with each other's bodies again. Most couples with fertility issues go through this at some point. It isn't always a permanent situation. Sometimes just relaxing about it and removing the stress is what it takes to get pregnant. If that doesn't work, you both need to be tested to see if it's physiological. Get out. R/child free and R/true child free might be for you if you don't want kids. Divorce. Really? Please. You don't want kids. You have no interest in them and are unwilling in participating in child rearing. You put it as something that you could maybe give to your wife as she wants it. No, you don't give children to someone. You have them with them. Those kids will want the love and dedication of the other parent, and you shouldn't create the situation where they'll be deprived of that. Do it for yourself, for your wife, and yes, those kids that she wants. Can you get an IVF or a surrogate? I want to walk away from it all. Focus on my career. Have a fairly carefree life and have fun. You need to have a hard, honest conversation and probably divorce. It doesn't make sense that you are trying to time your sex around some sort of ovulation calendar. Yay. That is helpful but far from 100% accurate. Just get it on every other day, regardless of what the ovulation machine says, and only once a month. Dude, that is not going to cut it. Every other day, and avoid fapping in between. Have you gone into specialized tests for infertility? On my case, we both went to a normal gynecologist and she did some basic tests like blood, sperm count etc. and saw we were both fine. We started taking vitamins by our doctor advice, but after 3 years nothing. We went to a specialized fertility doctor and they made us more deep test. I got x-ray scanned near my parts to see if there is no twisted tube. And my wife, they inserted a camera inside her belly to check inside. They found some blood cloth that might be cause. She is still on recovery. Takes like 5 months for her to heal down there. You should talk to a fertility specialist. Your wife's doctor can recommend one usually. Or if you really don't want kids anymore, talk to her about it. You guys could use a co-therapist as well if you wish to continue the relationship. This is really something you should have discussed before you got married, but since you didn't have that discussion until now, you're going to have to make a tough choice. This is not something you can compromise with your wife. You can't have half a kid. You are going to have to choose between your wife and having kids. Your analysis of kids sounds emotionless, and when you do have your own kids, there are a lot of emotions involved, including protecting that child at any cost. I'm not saying what choice to make, but it is not something you can compromise on. And or if you think trying to have them is ruining your marriage, wait till you have a few. Why are you even married to her? You don't even seem to like or respect her. This whole op is the most selfish and sad thing I've read today. It only took me 4 months to get pregnant, and even that killed the bedroom temporarily. 18 months is a long time. It sounds like it's time for you to seek out other options for kids than the completely natural method: adoption, IVF, IUI, foster care, etc. Just so your life doesn't revolve around when you have sex. This will help you both feel less pressure to get pregnant and give you a new common goal. Also, in case nobody has mentioned it, lube can lower sperm movement. Check out special trying to conceive lube if you haven't already. It also balances the pH of the vagina, and you can keep using it when you're pursuing other methods just in case. Has she seen a doctor? And talk to her about it. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.